What up, Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and I am fresh off a plane from Tokyo, Japan, where I got to go to Fujifilm 2019 for the release of the GFX100 102 megapixel medium format system that kind of looks and feels like a flagship DSLR. We'll go into that. You might hear some weird noises. There's some construction or something going on around me, and I like to do this in one take, so we're doing it that way. This is some stuff from my phone from the press conference, Fujifilm 2019 right there, and you can see the GFX just sitting there. It's here, kids, GFX100, 102 megapixels, and at that resolution, is really hard to handhold and have a smaller body, but they basically did it. I mean, we're talking about a 55 millimeter sensor, so it's 12 millimeters longer diagonal than full frame, they're saying it, but it's a little shy of 645, so it's its own size pretty much. But with all that resolution, you needed to have stabilization, which was the first time ever we're looking at 5.5 stops, 5-axis stabilization on a medium format sensor that's 102 megapixels. The higher the res, the more unstable it's going to look when you shoot. It just picks up shake more, and 102 is definitely high res. I mean, you saw issues with like D850s at 47 megapixels not being stabilized. You have to use faster shutter speeds. Well, now you can handhold a medium format like you would a DSLR, and it also has 5 frames per second. So for a medium format camera that has that much resolution to push out 1 gigabyte a second reading, that is kind of crazy. So think of it this way: you have really fast autofocus, 0.05 second. The whole entire sensor is covered in phase detection, and we're looking at 5.76 megapixel EVF. That is super resolution. It was super clean. I used it myself, including while I got tattooed, Tabori hand poke style in Japan. So I definitely used it in the field. I didn't just have to use it at the event. It was pretty awesome, and I'm going to show you this really quick. These are some videos. This is how big the Fujifilm conference was. There was that many people there, but here's me shooting with it. So I shot in as many profiles as I could. They were tack sharp at, let me see, we're looking at 30th of a second, 640 ISO, f5.6. So I'm going to play that one more time. You can see the texture in her eyeball. Here you can see the texture right there, and I'm shooting at 1/8 of a second, 400 ISO, 5.6, and this was with a 200 millimeter super long monster lens, f2 lens, obviously. It was huge. So for it to be able to handle all that was super impressive. This is a major release. Think of it this way. It is a $10,000 body for what would usually be in that space, somewhere between $25,000 to $40,000. Not only that, but it's stabilized, it's way more compact, it can run off of existing batteries for that system, the GFX batteries. It's kind of like, think of it like the 1DX Mark II and the Nikon D5. It feels like those cameras, and they were around $6,000, those cameras, when they were first introduced, and this is a $10,000 medium format. So while those cameras can do like 1 billion frames per second, the lower tiers like the D800 and the 5D Mark IVs can do like 5 frames per second, give or take, right? So now that's what this medium format can do. So we're looking at it getting close to the speed of what a flagship full frame would be, but it's really in like the class of the D800 series and stuff like that. But it also has the form factor of the flagships. Faster autofocus, can be handheld. I was using this thing in the field like it was a full frame. It was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic to work with. Flip screen, multiple change on the displays, all sorts of stuff. They really thought this camera out a lot. They tried to use the real estate on this thing as much as they could. I urge you guys to take a look at it. And if you're someone that's in the medium format world or in the GFX system, whoa, what a gift. I mean, wow. And who knows, if it, like I've been saying for years, if if medium format can get to the speed of full frame, it might be the new full frame, especially if they can shrink down the size of the bodies and the processors get smaller, more powerful. We definitely have the media and the memory for the speeds that we can achieve. This takes 2 SD cards as opposed to XQD or CF Express. I think that's where they probably saved some of the cost of the body, because they would have to pay for the licensing for that technology. Anything that they're using that's proprietary technology, like Sony owns XQD, they have to pay to use that technology for the royalties or the rights or whatever, however it works in each of those bodies, and that's how the price goes up. So there's a few things in there that I'm sure they saved the money on, but nothing cut the quality down on this camera. It's a three-piece magnesium alloy chassis. It's great. It really is. I urge you to check it out, and we'll be releasing some videos with my use of it and some of the content and shots from those from the camera that I got to use for the time I was out there in Tokyo. So thank you to Fujifilm for trusting us with that. There was only like 20 bodies in the world and we got one of them, so it was pretty awesome. Okay, so that's enough of the gushing over this crazy release, but it is pretty game-changing, and it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how other brands and systems react to this. Let me know if you're someone that's in the medium format system. Does this interest you at all? Is this something that makes you think maybe medium format could be for me? It's a little more accessible now as opposed to being so untouchable. I'm sure this will flood the rental houses. Oh, and as far as the large format thing goes, they're pretty much referring to that in respect to video, because video sensors are usually APS-C, Super 35, or the 70mm sensors and stuff from the RAs. This is the only one that's kind of like in between that way, I guess you would say. So that's why they're calling it like large format. I think they kind of missed on that one, and they took a lot of flack for it when this was announced as such. For me, it's kind of like what they said in the beginning. It's super full frame, or it could be the new full frame. That would have been kind of a better way to put it. But, weird noises, everybody, I'm sorry. But, it's still, that aside, what a great release. And Fuji, great job. Congratulations. That was an honor to be there, and it was really awesome to see. Let's get into what's going on this week, though. So Peak Design made a travel tripod, game-changing, right? Everything's game-changing. But this one kind of is interesting. This is the size of it. It looks like a giant thermos, right? What they're basically saying is they want it to be as compact as possible. When you see the overhead view of a traditional tripod like this, there's gaps, and it's a weird shape. This is a full-on cylinder, so it should be able to pack easier, and it should be sleeker design, more logistics thought of in this. And it can deploy to, I think they said about about 58.5 inches, which is close to 5 feet. It seems to be pretty lightweight. That being said, be wary of lightweight tripods. If you stretch it out of the way, there's got enough gust of a wind, it's still gonna sway and shake. Yeah, it'll keep your camera up, but it doesn't mean that's super stable. I do not know anyone that's tried it. I don't know anyone that's gotten their hands on it, so I can't speak for it. The design does seem pretty brilliant. I do think that they did put a lot behind that, so I'm kind of wondering how it is in the field. Let me know what you think about that. Are you someone that's throwing into Kickstarters a lot? Do you look at Peak Design a lot? They haven't failed us yet, right? They put some pretty cool stuff out there. Their bags have been super popular. So we'll see what happens with that. In other news, Adobe launches a significant update to Premiere Rush. So Premiere Rush is this weird little, actually it's not kind of weird, but it's a software that lets you go from Premiere onto a mobile platform that you can like edit on the fly a little bit, or in the field. Like let's say you're someone that gets stuck in meetings a lot like we do here. We can take our project on the go with us and do quick rough cuts and then get back to fine tuning it later. Or if you're someone that's in the field constantly, like while we were in Tokyo or something like that, we could just make rough cuts. Well, the big update to this is that now it's available for Android platforms, not just iOS. So if you're someone that's got a Samsung or in those tablets that run Android, you can now use this software. So that's pretty awesome. In some kind of uplifting news, I guess you'd say, it's kind of cool that they thought about this. An airport made fence holes for plane spotting photographers. Yep, it's true. So if you're into shooting airplanes, this airport over here in Canada has decided to cut holes in the fence, and that way you don't have to worry about getting your lens jammed up against the fence and get some weird lines out of focus in your foreground, I guess. I don't really know much about that community of shooting airplanes or what it really takes, or has this been a common problem, or is that really a good vantage point? I don't know. Let me know if you're someone that shoots aviation or airplanes or anything like that. I would be curious to know if this is something that's pretty awesome, and maybe if it works out well, it'll go worldwide. I don't know. It does seem like very communal and a positive response to something, as opposed to, well, sorry guys, maybe you shouldn't be standing there. Or maybe they're just psyched that people are documenting what's going on with these aircrafts. Who knows? Let me know if you're someone that shoots airplanes and what those shots typically go towards. Like, is it kind of like bird watching? Do you spot like a rare plane? I don't know. I don't know. I'm ill-informed. Inform me. DJI has Airsense adds aircraft detection to consumer drones. So what does this mean? Pretty much the FAA is essentially all airplanes and helicopters be equipped with ADS-B transmitters, which broadcast an aircraft's position to allow for detection and tracking. So that's going to start January 1st, 2020. What DJI is going to do is put ADS-B receivers on their drones. And this isn't like a regulation they need to do, but they're committed to making the world pretty much like safe for drones and allow drone culture to grow, or drone use, or whatever you want to call it. This is awesome. Pretty much, if it's an aircraft, a plane, a helicopter, whatever is out of range from hearing it or seeing it, it should emit a transmission that is long enough to be picked up by the drone's receiver in this channel or whatever, frequency or however you want to put it. Interesting, definitely smart and almost common sense. And who knows, I guarantee it's probably very cost effective, or it'll just get more and more cost effective as time goes on. And I'm sure it'll be a regulation since it makes so much common sense. It's called Airsense. I'm sure that's partial common sense instead of just sensing the airwaves. But yeah, I think drone people have had a tough go at it lately, right? I mean, here in New York, you barely fly a drone anywhere. So this is pretty cool. We'll see how this goes. We'll see if this makes other drones obsolete as things go on. Maybe the drone market for used drones will plummet because these will be more sought after. I don't know. Who knows? Okay, let's go back into some camera news. So Olympus unveils the Tough TG6 rugged compact camera. We're looking at it right here. They've done tough cameras before. This one is a 12 megapixel sensor that actually has an anti-reflective coating on it that should take away all the ghosting and flares. It's an f2 on the lens, and we're looking at a 50-foot waterproof rating and a shockproof up to 7 feet, and can be freeze-proof to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. We actually froze one of their previous models in a block of ice and it still worked, so good on you, Olympus. They've always been good on that part. I think they even make a flash that can handle freezing temperatures now. But the real new feature on this, aside from the anti-reflective coating, is that it includes raw photos, focus stacking, focus bracketing, manual white balance, and 3 underwater white balance modes, along with 4K video and full HD, 120 frames per second slow-mo, and a bunch of sensors for GPS, manometer, temperature, compass, all sorts of stuff. So they're definitely giving it more capabilities. It's definitely similar to the rest of their line. So if you're used to their tough cameras, it should be pretty native to you. I think it's a pretty good release from Olympus. Their tough cameras have been pretty awesome. I remember Dan Norton putting it through the ringer. Dan, if there's a link to that video, just throw it in the comments for me. It was pretty awesome. Okay, so Lomo is putting out this first Petzval art lens for mirrorless camera market. So they've had this lens out for a while, right? It's a drop-in filter mask for the apertures. It's a 55 millimeter 1.7, but now it's available for the Canon R mount, the Nikon Z mount, and the Sony E mount, the Elemental P mounts out there, you know? It's an all metal body. It looks really sexy, but what's really cool is the masks that you can put in the back of the lens. You can drop them in and it'll actually change the look of your bokeh. You'll get this abnormality look to the out of focus portions of your shots. It'll look different than just the lens distortion itself. So it looks pretty affordable. They're about $450, and for the brass and the black versions are looking at about $400, and they're doing pre-orders. They should be shipping in the beginning of August, so check that out from Lomo. I was actually going to pick up one of those lenses, so maybe I'll get one of these. I don't know. You know, I think the drop-in aperture mask is a pretty fun tech feature, and just the feel of those lenses is kind of nice to check out. That really manual, slow throw kind of feel, and it looks pretty good, you know. And lastly, to really throw it back away from this monster medium format digital, well, now Yashica is trying to get a new black and white film off the ground with a Kickstarter, a 400 ISO, 24 exposure. It looks like it's a medium grain count and a little more higher on the contrast. Not really sure what they're going for with this one, but this is kind of what they're looking at as far as the feel of it. It's not like there's not a lot of monochrome film out there. In fact, this article from the Photographer kind of asked the question, why are they putting this out as opposed to putting marketing into already existing monochrome films? I don't know, but it's kind of cool to see that people are still throwing interest into the analog world, and it's not just the people that are shooting, but the manufacturers and bigger name manufacturers, right? Like, it's not just indie names coming out of nowhere to throw their name into their hat in the ring, so to speak, and put out a film like we've seen with these pre-exposed films and these gimmicky, you know, color cast films and stuff like that. So we'll see where this goes. It is a Kickstarter campaign. It's not like actually out there. So we'll see how the community supports it, right? So that's what I'm going to give you for the news this week. I'm trying to keep it pretty condensed. I'm not kidding you, I'm pretty jet lagged, so I'm sorry if I've been like, just a fire hose of information for you guys on this one. But it's the week has been pretty monopolized by this Fujifilm release. You can see everywhere that everyone's talking about it. And while we were there in Tokyo, it was just like every YouTube channel and media source in the industry just like talking about it and trying it out and having a great time. And it was a really awesome community to share thoughts and philosophies and things like that, especially on a common ground of this groundbreaking camera, and to see where they're coming from, what they were expecting from it and stuff like that. However, if you want to see the video that we made while we're out there of the first look, you can just check it out right here on our channel. Me and Fernando were out there, and I got to just handhold this thing and really go around with it. And we talked about a few of the features, and we went over the features and the actual trade, the show, the Fujikina show itself. We talked to Justin, the senior product manager at Fuji, so he can give you his actual perspective on their thought process behind it, which I think is pretty important. He definitely has a lot to say about this. He's super knowledgeable and is all in when it comes to Fuji, and he's a great source of information, especially about this system. So if you're interested in it, check out what he has to say about it. And I'll try to release my images soon. I did download the beta of Capture One for the RAW files, so I actually get to rip those apart a little bit, which is pretty awesome. I did shoot a bunch of the JPEG profiles, Eterna, Chrome, Classic Chrome, of course, Velvia, Provia, and my favorite Acros. So I'll get those out when we can. I'll see what's going on with the media and all the video that we shot out there. Thank you guys for watching. Write me down below. Let me know if this is opening up your head to like, maybe I should switch formats. Maybe this is the time to finally jump to medium format. Are you someone that never even thought about what the capabilities of medium format could be or the benefits of medium format could be? I mean, you're talking about a larger sensor that's got this breathability on all that pixel to keep the noise low, so you can actually just have a cleaner image. I'm looking at textures you wouldn't ever see in imaging. It was 16-bit color. I mean, whoa, it was just, what a phenomenal, fun time to shoot this camera. It really was, and I can't thank Fujifilm enough. And thank you guys for watching. So hit me down below with any question about anything you got that you've seen here. Let me know if you're someone that's rocking a drone. Is this technology making you feel a little bit more relaxed about what's going to happen to the future of drones? Are you into the Lomo crowd? Do you think this Petzval camera was a long time coming from mirrorless? Are you someone that's been waiting for it for mirrorless? Let me know what you think about this Peak Design tripod. Are you someone that does a lot of hiking or landscape photography? Does this seem like it's more ideal for you? Is it something that maybe if you never wanted to carry a tripod, maybe now this is something that would give you that option or that mindset to carry a tripod? I don't know. If you're an aviation photographer, I gotta hear from you because I know nothing about that world. Let me know if cutting a hole in a fence is something that seems whoa, or just cool, I guess. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I need to just pass out. I will see you guys later. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this video around. I'll see you down in the comments. Peace.